So here we are in our production room, and I have 18 washing machines all set up. People think we have some special equipment, but we're just using Maytags and just regular home machines. We do modify them to meet our needs a little bit, and I can kind of walk you through the process. So this is the raw fabric. This is muslin, and it is a little bit stiff because when they weave the muslin, it comes with sizing. So the first thing we have to do, it comes on large rolls. We can't dye a large piece at a time, so we rip them into 2-yard pieces, but we can stuff the machines full of fabric. But in order for the suede texture to come out the way we want it to, we rip it into smaller pieces. And then the next step is to pre-wash the fabric to get out that sizing so it's not so stiff. And the fabric has to be wet in order for the dye to be accepted. So we actually reserve half of our washing machines just for the pre-washing. No dye goes into those machines because we don't want to get any spots on the fabric before we even start. And then we mix the dyes, and this is a sample of the dyes. It's a Procyon powdered dye. It's made from minerals, rocks, and crushed minerals, and it comes in many, many colors from the manufacturer. And Procyon is a kind of dye, and you can get it from different manufacturers. So I formulate all my colors specifically for cherry wood. I never use anything right from the manufacturer because I want my own color palette. After the dyes are mixed, one color goes in each machine. The dye process happens right in the machine. It's about a 5-hour process, and some magical things happen along the way that we keep private and close to our vest because we do have a very unique look. We call it the suede look. If you look at this piece from a distance, it looks like a solid color. But up close, you'll see some variations in the tone. We call it tone on tone because it reads as one color, meaning your eye understands it as just being a blue, but up close you'll see darks and lights and kind of a mottled texture to it. After we dye it, we also wash it 2 times extra after that, and we need to rinse out any extra dye so it doesn't bleed onto other colors. So then when it comes to the consumer, it's ready to go. They don't necessarily have to pre-wash it, but most people pre-wash their fabric before they start a project.
How do you keep the fabric from ending up looking like tie-dye, you know, where some is a lot darker and some is lighter?
So that's why we cut the fabric down into smaller pieces. Otherwise, it'll get tangled up in the machine, and that's where you're going to get parts of the dye doesn't saturate the fabric. So over the years, we've discovered that 2 yards at a time works, and it does get tangled up a little bit, but found ways to kind of overcome that because we want the entire fabric to be saturated with color. We don't want any white showing.
So when you're doing the dyeing, just to give me kind of an idea, do you use like a teaspoonful of this at a time, or how much do you use?
We're using cups and cups of dye. So we've got 20 yards of fabric, so it takes a lot of dye. There's a chemical reaction that happens, and we use salt and soda ash in the process, and the soda ash is actually what strikes the fabric and creates the bond of the molecules of dye to the fibers of the fabric.
Some of my friends have mentioned that you have what's called a cherry wood challenge. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that is a fun way to have get people to use our fabric in an interesting way. So a challenge just means we have certain rules that you have to abide by. And this came up to me about 10 years ago. I thought challenges in the quilting world are common, but I had something unique. I have this unique fabric that nobody else has. So I decided to come up with just a color and a theme and see what people could come up with.
So what is your theme for this year?
Well, it's the monarch butterfly.
Oh, can we find out more about that?
Absolutely.